Hi, my name is Rachel Lahaski, and I am a clinical instructor in the Southern Miss School of Social Work. And I have been asked to speak with you guys a little bit about what social work is, what you can do with a degree, and how you can go about becoming a social work student at Southern Miss. So what is social work? Let's just start with that. I'm sure you guys have a little bit of an idea of what social work is. Maybe you know someone who's a social worker. Perhaps you have seen a social worker yourself. I go about explaining social work in two different ways. I kind of break it down into two different areas. So first, social work is a mental health profession, and social workers make up the largest group of mental health professionals. So when you think of mental health professionals, we think psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, family marriage therapists. So social workers make up the largest group of mental health professionals in the field. And so we do treatment, we provide diagnoses for people, and various types of therapies for people who are seeking services. We also provide resources in the community, and we work directly with individuals, with groups, and with families. And that's the micro level of social work. It's that mental health piece. The other part of social work that I use to describe the profession, and I think this part sets us apart from other mental health professions, and that is the side of social justice. So social work is very much a profession centered around social justice. So social workers participate in a lot of advocacy work and a lot of policy work. So that's the macro level of practice in terms of social work. So the micro is the mental health piece, the direct practice with populations, with individuals, families. But the macro level is the indirect practice. However, we're still making a difference for people on a very large scale. So again, policy, legislation, grant writing, fundraising, creating social service agencies, that sort of thing, all takes place on the social justice side of social work. We advocate very heavily for populations that maybe are underserved and don't have a voice. So with that said, I sent your teacher several different handouts that you can look at when you have a chance, but I just want to point out a few things in these handouts. So we'll start with the one that is titled Social Work Profession. It's a front and back piece. And so take a chance to just kind of look at it. It talks a little bit about what a social worker is. It talks a little bit about what social workers do. It talks about the Council on Social Work Education, which is how we get our accreditation. So we are an accredited school of social work here at USM. And that's important to know, too, because if any of you decide to get your degree in social work, you're going to want to go to an accredited school of social work. Otherwise, you won't be able to sit for your licensure exam, and you won't be considered a professional social worker. The sheet talks a little bit about who employs social workers, a little bit about our licensure. So take a look at that. It also gives some information, some links of resources, particularly about where to search for a job in social work, and about NASW. NASW is our national professional organization, so the National Association for Social Workers, and we do have a Mississippi chapter. In fact, every March at the end of Social Work Month, which is all of March, we have our regional Mississippi NASW conference. It's a really great organization that supports social work and advocates for our profession, and we encourage all of our students to join NASW before they graduate for a few reasons. One, again, it's just a great organization to support, but also before you graduate as a student, you still have the opportunity to get a discounted rate for membership, and post-graduation, when you have your license, you are required to maintain a certain number of continuing education units in order to maintain your license every year, and NASW provides you with a lot of opportunities for those CEUs. So take a look at that sheet. The other one that I want to point out is this sheet. It says social work, what can I do with this major? And it just kind of breaks down all the different things that you can do as a social worker. So both on the micro and macro levels, but specifically a lot of the different areas that are listed here are micro level practice areas. And I think most people that go into social work, or a lot of people that go into social work, are most interested in micro. They want to help people on the ground. They want to be at the forefront of working hands-on with populations. And it's a pretty lengthy handout. It's several pages long, which is really, really awesome because it just goes to show all the different things that you can do with social work. There's so much available. So if any of you have ever thought about social work, maybe you've talked to somebody about social work, or maybe you've entertained the idea of wanting to do social work, my guess is that someone somewhere said to you, oh, aren't those people that take away kids? And yes, sometimes we do have to work with families, and we take away kids with Child Protective Services. And we do that because it's our job to keep children safe. But that's only a very small part of what we do in social work. Social work has so many other opportunities. My background in particular is in school-based social work and medical social work. So the first 6 years post-graduation with my master's, I worked in middle schools and high schools, providing individual, group, and family therapy to students who we had diagnosed with an emotional or behavior disorder. I provided a lot of resources to those families, a lot of classroom management to teachers, and did a lot of putting out fires for these kids who were always getting into trouble. They were the troubled kids. We educated the administrators in the school and families as to how to best support these kids so that they are successful and they're not just put out of school. And then right now, aside from teaching at the university, I do PRN, so as needed work at the hospital doing medical social work. It's a lot of discharge planning, a lot of case management. So whenever a patient is getting ready to leave the hospital, if they have any need, the social work team is the one that is consulted, and we set that up for them before they discharge from the hospital. So if they need home oxygen or a CPAP, or maybe they need a wound vac or a wheelchair or nursing home placement, maybe they need a long-term acute care placement or home health, something as simple as just a community referral, we are the ones that are consulted for that. And then, of course, if there is any trauma or crisis, maybe that comes through the emergency room or a death in the hospital, a lot of times the social work team will be consulted to be with the family during those difficult times. But social workers work in all different agencies, all different populations, from the cradle to the grave. We work with babies all the way to people who are older and dying. We work in courts, we work in nonprofits, we work in the area of addiction, crisis therapy and intervention. We do all sorts of things. We work in the areas of public welfare, developmental disorders, disabilities. We are all over the place. So take a look at this handout. You'll find it helpful, and I think it'll kind of expand your knowledge as to what you can do. Where do social workers work? So with that said, the piece of information that most prospective students or students who are considering social work want to know is, what do I have to take and when can I graduate? So our degree plan, this sheet right here, it is on our website, and I also sent a link to this, or an attachment of this, to your teacher. It's front and back, is what breaks down our program and all the classes that you would have to take. And a lot of the classes that you would need, you're going to already be taking at PRCC. And we have an agreement with all community colleges in Mississippi, which means that if you take a class in your community college, we will accept it here at USM. So 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have any problems transferring credit hours over to us. We don't want you to waste your time or feel like you've wasted your money taking a class if it's not going to count, here at USM. So the good news is most of the classes you're taking now are going to transfer over to the university, and a lot of them will transfer into our program. So I'm going to break this down for you and just kind of go through each column and let you know just some details about it. So you see the 3 columns. The first is University Core. These are classes that most students take regardless of major. Your basic Englishes, your math, your 2 basic lab sciences, most of your intro-level classes, histories, art, sociology, psychology. In the second column, you're going to see it says Social Work Core. These are not yet social work classes, but they are more closely related to the profession of social work. So your upper-level sociologies, psychologies, your communications, your human sexuality, all of those classes are going to be in that column. And then in your very last column, right over here, you'll see your above the dotted lines, your 3 pre-social work classes. So I'll stop there for just a second and point out just a few things. On the sheet, you are going to notice that there are asterisks next to some of the classes. So in the first column, your math and your intro to psychology have asterisks next to it. In the second column, your DPH 430, that is human sexuality, and your Psych 275, your developmental psychology, or PRCC, human growth and development. And then in the third column, your 3 pre-social work classes above the dotted lines, they all have asterisks next to them. And that means that those classes have to be completed before you get into our program. Every class has a box next to it, and the box have to be checked. The goal is to get every single box checked off in order to graduate. So you are going to know when you are ready to apply to our program when you have 3 or less of those classes remaining. But remember, none of them can be those asterisk classes. So below the dotted lines, you'll see our program is broken down full-time into 4 semesters. And so you'll see academic classes listed in the first 3 semesters, and then in the very last and final semester, that 4th semester, you'll see it says field education, and that is the semester everybody works towards, everybody is excited about, and that's your field semester, that's your internship semester. So the reason that we say you can come into the program with up to 3 classes remaining from outside the program is because technically you can tack a class onto the first semester, the second semester, and the third semester. But by the 4th and final semester of the program, all your academic classes have to be done. You're going to be full-time in field Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday mornings typically is when you'll come in and meet with us for field seminar. And that gives you an opportunity to process all the things that you're doing in field. It kind of helps to connect the dots between what you've learned in the program versus what you're actually now putting into practice. It's a writing-intensive course. We are a writing-intensive profession, a writing-intensive program, and that is the capstone semester. But it's everybody's favorite semester. We have a field office associated with our program, and they work really hard to place students in internships where they feel would be the best fit for them. So if you come in and you say, I really am interested in the geriatric population, perhaps they'll work to find you a placement in a nursing home or with the VA, for example. Or maybe you want to work with kids. So there's a wide range of opportunities. Perhaps you're interested in hospice care. There are a lot of hospice programs that participate with our field program. So lots of options, lots of opportunities. Our field office tries to place you close to where you are living during that last semester. And there's just, like I said, so many opportunities for internships. So that's a little bit about our degree plan, and you can look at it to really get what classes you need, closer on your sheet. If you look on the back of it or on the second page of it, you will see the breakdown of what some of these letters and numbers actually mean in case you're kind of confused. So that should help to explain it as well. So how do you get into our program? There's a couple things that we look for. And first I have to say you have to have at least a 2.5 GPA. That's the first thing we look for when students are applying. Now we say 2.5, but we are one of the fastest growing undergraduate programs on campus, and therefore we are one of the most competitive. And we don't have as many spots available for the number of people that apply. So when it comes down to making cuts, one of the first things that we're looking at is GPA. It's the easiest thing to look at. So really, we're looking for students that have GPAs much higher than a 2.5, that have a strong academic background, that are good writers, and that have demonstrated professionalism, participation, integrity in the classroom. The other thing is we will only accept a C or above in every class, both within our program and outside the program. So if you have a D in a class, it would need to be retaken. And so even though a D is technically passing, for us it's not. We only take C's or above. So with that said, there is an application process to getting into our program. It includes a letter of intent or a personal statement. So why do you want to do social work? It also includes 2 letters of recommendation that you will submit. And then there's an interview process, and that is also twofold. The first is a writing piece. You'll be given a case vignette, a case statement, a case summary, and you'll be asked to respond to some questions related to that. And that gives us the opportunity to look at your critical thinking abilities and to see if you're able to kind of put together what you've learned so far in your pre-social work classes, in your psychology classes, your sociology classes. And also we're looking at how well you write. And then the second piece of the interview is face-to-face with faculty. None of this you have to memorize right now. If you come to Southern Miss, one of the things that we prepare you for in our Intro to Social Work class, one of those 3 pre-social work classes you'll have to take prior to getting into the program, is everything you'll need to know about applying to the program. We have a very high licensure pass rate, and that's the other thing that I want to tell you. You can have a degree in social work, but if you don't have your license, you can't consider yourself a social worker. You got to get your license. So straight out of undergrad, you can take your licensure exam. In fact, you can actually take it while you're still a student in those last 15 hours, so in your 4th and final semester. You can take that exam, and once you finally get your degree and submit your final paperwork, the board will grant you your license. We have a licensure prep class. Actually, I'm the one that teaches it here in Hattiesburg, and we prepare our students to take that test. We have a very high pass rate on both the Hattiesburg campus and the Gulf Park campuses. So even though we've got 2 campuses, it's all one program. I also like to tell students who are maybe contemplating social work or considering a few majors that are helping profession type majors, that social work, the undergraduate degree in social work, is one of the strongest undergraduate degrees a student can get out of undergrad. And the reason is because when you finish with your undergraduate degree in social work, you can take your licensure exam and be considered a professional social worker, which is really awesome because you can get a job straight out of undergraduate doing what you've done, what you've planned to do for the last several years that you have been in school. You can go to work and get a job as a social worker. Versus other professions or other majors, you would have to really get your master's or your PhD to do anything in that field. But for social work, you can get a job as a professional social worker straight out of undergrad, and that's really awesome. And lots of places hire BSW level social workers. And there's a lot that you can do at that level. There's a lot of case management positions, a lot of resource type positions, CPS hires. Medical social work is always looking for bachelor level social workers. So lots of opportunity there. Now, we do encourage our students to go forward and get their master's degree, because with that master's comes a couple of things. One, you can do so much more. You can practice clinically, you can diagnose, you can provide treatment, but also more money, right? Everybody wants more money, and you can certainly get that with your MSW. And then, of course, you would sit for your master's level licensure exam and get your LMSW, which is a licensed master social worker, your license. And then if you choose to go forward and getting your LCSW, which is the highest level license you can get in social work, you can do that as well, working clinically and receiving supervision for several years postgraduate school, and then sitting for that last final exam for your LCSW. So you have a lot more opportunities, and the good news is we have an MSW program here at Southern Miss, and so it's a 2-year full-time program, but we also have a part-time program for the master's program, which means if you finish with your undergraduate degree in social work and you need to work for a bit, but you want to kind of stay in the loop of school and start getting your master's, you can get your LSW license straight out of undergrad, work somewhere as a social worker, and in the meantime, you can come here and you can get your MSW part-time. So you can both work and go to school. Best of both worlds. We have a lot of options available. We also have what's called an advanced standing program, and that's unique to a lot of schools that are accredited and who have an undergraduate degree program in social work, which we do. And so all that means is if you do really awesome in your pre-social work and social work classes in undergrad, you can potentially, and when I say good, I mean A's and B's, top of the class, you can potentially qualify to sit for our advanced standing qualifying exam, which is kind of a comprehensive exam of everything that you have learned in the program. And if you score high enough, then you can potentially be a part of our advanced standing program, which is 1 extra year. So in 1 extra year out of your undergraduate program, if you do really well, you can potentially have your master's. And that is really awesome for a lot of students who are ready to get done faster and who academically are strong. So it's certainly a motivational factor in terms of keeping up those grades and working hard in your internship. You'll also have an internship placement in graduate school. If you do the advanced standing, you'll have 1 internship. If you do the full-time 2-year program, maybe you don't get into advanced standing, you'll have 2 more internship opportunities, which isn't a bad thing. It gives you just another opportunity to try something else in the field under the supervision of a clinical social worker. So lots of important things to remember and lots of exciting things about our degree, about social work. The other thing that I want to share with you, and I wasn't able to get this to your teacher, but this is a transfer admission guide. If any of you want this, please let me know. I will share my contact information with you in just a second. But this is a guide that admissions puts out. It talks a little bit about the application process to USM, and that's something else I want to share. When you're applying to Southern Miss, you want to apply to the university first, and then when you get here, you will eventually be eligible to apply to our program. But first, apply to the university, get into the university. It talks about different routes to admissions, it talks about deadlines, it talks about some financial aid and scholarship stuff, which is always helpful. It talks about campus housing, job opportunities, all kinds of different things. So let me know if you want one, and I can certainly put one in the mail to you. I can also help you set up a campus tour with the admissions office. So I would love the opportunity to meet you if you're thinking social work. I think this is something that I want to do. We can talk on the phone, or even better, we can set up a time for you to come to campus and meet with me. We can review your unofficial transcripts. We can go over our degree plan again. I can answer any questions you might have, give you a tour of our department, and then if you would like to see the university, I can also help you set up a tour with admissions. I will be at your campus later this fall. There will be a college fair coming up. I don't remember the dates right off of the top of my head, but I will be there more than likely. If I'm not, for whatever reason, due to space, Southern Miss will be there, and they should have our material, our PR material. Another thing that you should have gotten, where did I put it? I don't remember, but it's just a RAC card. It's our front and back of our RAC card that we normally hand out, and it also tells a little bit about requirements to getting into the program, so kind of just a review of what I've already told you, but your teacher has that too for you, so take a look at that. I do hope to see you all very soon. I hope to hear from you soon, and here is my contact information. My name is Rachel Lahaski. Again, I'm a clinical instructor here in the Southern Miss School of Social Work. Here is my number and my email. If you call and I don't answer, just leave me a voicemail. I will get back to you as soon as I can. If you have any questions, please let us know. And also, our website is www.usm.edu/social-work. So please check that out. Copies of our degree plan, additional information about faculty, the research our faculty are doing, We have a huge club, BSW Club. I'm actually the faculty advisor. We're one of the most active student organizations on campus. All that information is up on our website, along with conferences that we participate in, and some information about our master's program. So please check that out. I'm looking forward to hearing from you soon with questions, and I'm excited to hopefully meet some of you guys here at Southern Miss. Bye!